How's it going, everybody? So I had a slightly different video planned for this week, but after the events that transpired in Idaho last week, I came across a clip of a young woman that took cover behind a vehicle, and she saw a handgun sitting on the passenger seat. She picked it up and attempted to engage the cowardly shooter, and was unable to use the handgun because it was jammed. So first off, let me say to that woman, in case you see this, good job. You did exactly what you needed to do. You sought cover and you attempted to fight back. This video is not a criticism of any of the brave and heroic actions that we saw that day. Instead, this is a video where I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and create some different types of malfunctions with these handguns and show you different ways on how to clear those malfunctions. So to get right into it, I'm going to go ahead and start with, there are some handguns out there, such as this 1911, 2011 style handgun, even something like this 22. There's multiple different lists of handguns that have external safeties on them. So generally speaking, empty magazine. When you come across a handgun that has a safety on it, the common way of carrying it is cocked and locked with the safety engaged. This switch back here at the back, this is your safety. Now if this is flipped up and engaged, you can't pull back your slide and you can't squeeze the trigger. Nothing happens. So what you would do if you came up on this gun and you picked it up and you wanted to defend yourself is you would pick it up, push down on this safety, and then there's a couple of different things you could do in this situation. Now you can grab it and you can pull back, and as you can see, there's a brass casing inside of there. So now you know that's loaded. So one, you could just let go of it, but be cautious with this, because if that slide doesn't go all the way forward, you'll get what's called an out of battery malfunction. So I would encourage, if you decide to do a press check, what you would do is once you let go of that slide and it slammed forward, hit the back of the gun and make sure it locked in. So the other option, and I would honestly say this is the better option of the two, once you engage that safety, just pull back all the way and let go. Eject that round that was in there, let it fall to the ground. It sucks you're going into an engagement with one less round, but there's a whole lot less chance of an out of battery malfunction now. There are also firearms out there similar to this Ruger 22 that have what's called a magazine disconnect in them on top of having an external safety. So you can see here I've got a fully loaded magazine. I'm going to go ahead and insert that mag, load up one, and then I'm going to drop my magazine. You can see here, even though it's loaded, I can squeeze this trigger all day and nothing's going to happen. So if you come across something like this, you need to locate your magazine and slam that home, and now the gun will fire. So next up, I'm going to use this Springfield Prodigy, and I'm going to do a dead chamber malfunction. Now basically a dead chamber is just any scenario where you pick the gun up and you squeeze the trigger and you get a click instead of a bang. This can be due to a number of different reasons. This could be poor ammo, this could be old ammo, it could be that somebody was just carrying that gun with an empty chamber. Either way, if you come across this situation, here's what you want to do. So let's say you pick up the gun off the ground, you've activated the safety, you pull up, you shoot, click. First thing you need to do is you want to slap that magazine, rack the slide, and you're good to go. Now another thing that I haven't mentioned yet so far is if you incur these malfunctions, it's best to try and get behind some sort of cover. Depending on what kind of area you're in, cover could mean the front side of a vehicle near the engine block. It could mean a large tree that you could get behind. It could mean a concrete pillar. So I'm going to try and demonstrate what that would look like in real-time speed. Okay, to try and demonstrate what that looks like, I'm going to take cover behind the engine block of this Nissan Titan here. I'm going to come up, I'm going to discover the dead chamber, and then I'm going to take cover behind this, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, the next malfunction that we're going to go over is going to be a failure to extract. Now what that is when you fire a round and it doesn't eject out of the chamber completely and you have a stuck empty casing in your chamber here. Now there's two ways that you can clear this malfunction. Sometimes you can clear it by doing a tap rack. It doesn't always work. I've found that sometimes you can tap rack, and when it does that, if you have an older magazine or a more worn out magazine, you'll actually induce a double feed, and then that's a whole nother list of problems. Another way that you can clear it is to just remove your magazine, rack your slide back, reinsert your magazine, rack the slide again, and you're good to go. So I'm going to try and demonstrate both of these techniques, and how I'm going to do it is I've got an empty casing shoved into my magazine. So let's see what that looks like. So as you can see, we have an empty casing in there. So how we're going to try and clear it first is I'm going to do a tap rack, okay? So we come up, bang, have a failure to extract. I'm going to drop behind cover. I'm going to slap that, and I'm going to try and rack it. Now, as you can see, this is what I was saying. Sometimes it doesn't want to work. So, the other way that I like to do it, bang, come down. I'm going to drop my magazine, and then I'm going to clear that round. And you can see it fell out of the bottom there. Pick up my mag, reinsert, rack the chamber. All right, so next up, we're going to have a real brief discussion on revolvers. And to start that off, I think you need to know how to open the cylinder on revolvers. Now, not always, but generally speaking, it seems like the vast majority of manufacturers out there copy either the Smith & Wesson design for the cylinder release, or they copy the Colt design. Now, the difference between those is here I've got this Smith & Wesson revolver, and you can see this little knob right here to release the cylinder. You're going to push that forward, and then with your other hand, or if you're holding it like you're shooting it with your trigger finger, you can pop that cylinder right out. Now you can inspect your cylinder here, and if your casings have a dimple inside of the silver part, that's called the primer. And generally that means that it's already been fired. Now the Colt design is a little bit different. So you can see this little plunger right here. Instead of pushing it forward like you would on the Smith & Wesson, you actually have to loop your finger inside this little notch and pull it back, and then you can release your cylinder. Now the reason I bring that up first off is because if you find a revolver laying there, you want to check to see if you actually have any rounds in it. And if you are lucky enough that you find the revolver there and you find some extra ammo for it, then you may come up to a situation where you're going to have to reload. And this is how you open up your cylinder to do your reload. Now, since we brought up reloads, let's go ahead and show you what that should look like. If you get into the situation where you fired your rounds and it's time to reload, you're going to swing your cylinder open, hold it in your firing hand like this, tip your gun up, and hit that plunger. You don't want to just tap your plunger. You don't want to push it down with one finger or just a gentle tap. Hit it. Now the reason that I emphasize hitting the plunger rather than just tapping it or pushing it with your finger is sometimes when you're shooting revolvers, your casings, especially in higher pressured ammo, can expand inside of there, and you can also get casing separation. And if you just tap it or you just hit it with your finger, a lot of times that guide rod or that plunger isn't going to kick out your shell casings. We'll see if I can demonstrate that. However, I'm not shooting high pressured ammo today, so we may not see that. Just know that it is a thing, and just remember to hit that plunger. All right, so the most common type of malfunction that you're gonna run into with a revolver is sometimes you'll just get old or bad ammunition or ammo that has hard primers. And when you pull the trigger and it goes click, when it should go bang, all you're gonna do for this malfunction is just keep pulling the trigger. Now again, this only applies to double action revolvers. I didn't bring a single action revolver out here to demonstrate that today because I feel like the single action revolver isn't really that popular for carry, whereas the double action still does hang out. So I'm gonna try and demonstrate what that would look like through this revolver, and then I'm gonna kneel down, and I've got some loose rounds sitting here on the truck. And I'm gonna do a reload, and then I'm gonna pop back up and shoot again. All right, so that's going to be the end of our demonstration today. I'm thinking about making this a multiple part series, and on the next one I'm thinking I'll go into malfunctions that you could run into on different types of long guns. Guys, I'm sure that I didn't go over all the different types of malfunctions, and I'm sure I didn't go over all the different types of clearing them. So if there's anything that I failed to bring up that you think I should have, hop into the comments and try and explain it the best you can in the comments, or make a video of your own and cover the things that I missed. Let's try and make this video educational and helpful to everybody out there. And more importantly, let's try and help put the fear of God into these cowards out there that are doing these mass shootings. Until next time, thanks for watching from Ranged Field.